Hi, welcome back. My name is Pooja. I'm an integrative nutritionist and I work with women who have hormonal issues. This is the video that I would consider as one of the most important part of the series. Today I'm going to be talking about gut health and how that is linked to your PCOD and how important it is that you look after your gut health before you do anything else. In Ayurveda, food is considered to be your medicine, and that is where we need to start. If you have PCOD problem and you've been crippling with it, then the first thing that you want to look at is your gut health, because gut actually, now science has obviously figured out that it is one of the most important organs of your body, and it's called a second brain. The whole research that has been done on gut health is actually relatively new. It has come up in the last 10 to 20 years that actually we have something called as gut bacteria, which actually determines our health in a very, very big way. We have a symbiotic relationship with this bacteria that lives in our gut, and it takes care of us in many, many ways. If you look at the statistics and the numbers that science has come up with, they say that you have at least 100 trillion bacteria in your body, which is 5 times more than the number of cells you have in your body, which basically means that you are more bacteria than cells. So we know that we are made up of these cells, and this is what makes a human body. But if I tell you that the bacteria that lives inside your gut or on your body actually is 5 times in number than the cells, then you would be looking at yourself in a very different way, because you are more a bacteria than actually a cellular body. So all these years we've been looking at the cellular function. How does it work? What does it feed on? What does it eat? How do we make it healthy? What does the membrane look like? And we've been like going into the cellular structure of a cell, and we have gone down to that level. But unfortunately now we know in last 10 to 20 years that actually there is bacteria which is governing most of the functions in your body actually, and cells are only one part of it. So which means that we have probably been ignoring a big part of our understanding of how human body works. And if you really feel that all the diseases that are coming up these days, whether it's PCOD, whether it's hormonal issues, whether it's depression, anxiety, any psychological issues that you have, autoimmune conditions, everything now kind of just boils down to the kind of bacteria that is actually in your body. How fat you are, how thin you are, everything kind of gets governed by the bacteria that is living in your body. So we need to be looking after this bacteria. We need to be giving that environment in which the good bacteria survives and bad bacteria does not get the chance to survive. And then obviously if that is where we need to go to, then gut is where we need to start. So if you have PCOD and you are crippling with the PCOD problems, then I would say looking at your gut health would be the most important part of your looking at how you would want to alleviate this problem naturally. You cannot ignore the gut and do rest. You can't take that many supplements because if your gut health is not okay, all the supplements are just going to go out of the system. So it's not really going to make any difference. So starting from food would be the best way to treat PCOD. So if you're looking at the gut health, then we now know that it is a second brain. It has 80 million neurons of its own, which means that the gut instinct that we used to talk about is actually a real thing. Your brain, your gut actually has a capacity of or capability of thinking for its own self, and it can give you that emotional signal that you are looking for when you are making a decision. We cannot take gut health very lightly, because now the recent studies that have come out also actually are telling you that your hormonal imbalances are also because of gut health, because your gut bacteria actually controls how much estrogen gets released by your ovaries, how much serotonin should be there in your body, how much dopamine should be there in your body. All these hormones, melatonin, all this actually gets inhibited or enhanced by the gut bacteria. So your gut bacteria actually is deciding most of the things for you. So we need to be looking after this gut bacteria that is sitting in your tummy and is pretty much controlling your life. Just to give you an example, serotonin, which is the feel-good hormone, where you feel happy, you want to go about doing things, you want to do this, you want to do that, you want to get up and be happy about things. 95% of the serotonin gets made in the gut. It's not made in the brain, it's actually made in the gut. So if you see in PCOD, we usually have seen that at least 1 out of 3 people in PCOD actually have depressive episodes, or they have very severe mood swings. They feel very low just before period, and that puts them into a vicious cycle, because once you not feel like doing something, how are you going to actually encourage yourself to say, okay, now today I'm going to work on my PCOD and start making those changes that I want to? If you don't have the desire to do it because there's low serotonin in your body, then how would you do it? So it's all puts you in that vicious cycle where, because you are feeling low, you don't want to do anything, and you feel anxious for no reason, you feel low for no reason, and that is probably because the gut bacteria is controlling most of the serotonin that gets produced, where you feel upbeat about yourself. So you need to look after the bacteria if you want to get over that low mood or depression, or where you don't feel like doing things, because serotonin is getting controlled by the gut bacteria. Again, 80% of your melatonin, which is the sleep hormone which puts you to sleep in the night, gets made by the gut bacteria. It's made in the gut. So if you are not looking after your gut health, then sleep issues will come, anxiety will come, PMS will come, low mood will come, depression will come, and it becomes really obvious that you can really link all these symptoms back to your gut health and see how your gut has been behaving. Because if the gut has some issues, then that could be feeding into your depression or everything to do with your PCOD, because it also controls the amount of estrogen that gets released, or the insulin that gets released. So effectively, the first thing that we need to do is start looking at our gut health and improve that. And once we start working on that, then everything else will then start falling in place. I'm not saying the other things are not important, but where you have to start is the gut health and not anything else. So how do we know whether our gut health is compromised or the gut has a problem? You would know. You would know if your gut has not been behaving properly, if you have constipation, if you have IBS, which is very, very common these days, or you have diarrhea, like you're going way too many times to the loo. You're not able to digest few things. You're trying to eliminate too many things out of your diet because you just can't handle them. You are not able to feel good after a meal. You just feel like you're up till here and the food is not getting digested. Or you can also have bloating, or you can have something which is coming up like an autoimmune disease, which can also related to the gut, which might then tell you whether you have a gut issue or not. And you need to eliminate every single day. You need to go to the loo every single day, and if that is not happening, that also you can say that you have a compromised gut health. So this is how you would know. And how do we start acting on this? So as I've explained you that these are the bacteria that you pretty much have to look after the bacteria. Now you have to start thinking, okay, what is this bacteria like, and how do I actually make it comfortable in the environment? What is it like? So can I feed the bacteria that? And maybe it doesn't like this kind of a stuff, then maybe I can eliminate that. So you need to start looking at these organisms as important things which are living inside your gut, and start thinking from their point of view as to what they like and to eat. What is it that they feed on becomes very important as well. You have two things. So there is a concept of prebiotics and there is a concept of probiotics. So prebiotics is basically the food that the bacteria feeds on, because if you are not giving them the food that it needs, then how is the bacteria going to survive in your environment? So the good bacteria is going to go and the bad bacteria is going to start colonizing. So prebiotic is basically the food that you give to the bacteria that it feeds on and starts colonizing itself and starts growing inside your gut. And then comes the probiotics. Probiotics is basically the kind of good food that you should be eating which has these good bacteria in it, which you then start consuming, and they go into your stomach and then they start colonizing your gut nicely. So there is prebiotic and then there is a probiotic. So when it comes to prebiotics, which is basically the food that bacteria feeds on, what are these? And you need to increase that kind of food in your diet, and it becomes very obvious that bacteria loves fiber. So you need to have something which has more fiber in it. So it loves the onion, it loves the garlic, it loves the carrot, it loves the radish, it loves broccoli, cauliflower, cabbage, radish, and things like that. So everything which is like root vegetables like carrots and things like that, it loves. So if you're having a meal and it has a lot of this kind of food, then you know that you're keeping your bacteria happy. Then comes the probiotic. Okay, so what is it that we should eat more in terms of food, which can then you're directly ingesting that kind of bacteria in your body and then making them grow in your gut, and that is basically yogurt. Traditionally, you know how you would make dahi at home every single day. It was a tradition, it is still a tradition in many small households, in smaller villages, but in bigger cities we just tend to buy the packs which are available. But again, as I explained you with milk, when they want to denature everything because they want to increase the shelf life, so there is no bacteria in it. So if you really want to take advantage of the yogurt, then you have to make it at home with the right jamun, jise hum kehte the. The one that you use to make the curd actually has to be sourced from the right place, and once you have that, then you can start making your curd at home and have that every single day. It has the most amazing bacteria which goes into your gut and makes your gut really happy. So that is something that you can have. You can have kimchi, you can have all the fermented foods. So you can have the dosa and the idli that has got a lot of good bacteria. Then you can have the kanji that we have in winters, where you actually ferment a lot of water and put carrots in it. That's an amazing food. You can have the pickles. We all traditionally make pickles at home for the whole year, and then we consume it for the whole year. So that is the best probiotic that you can actually take. So that, and again, you know, the small pickles that we make with vinegar at home of onions and other things, that again has a very good probiotic. So increasing those kind of foods in your diet will really help to populate the good bacteria in your body, which then produces the serotonin and the melatonin and the estrogen, controls the estrogen production and metabolizes it properly, so that you don't have those PCOD symptoms. So yes, that is as simple as that. In improving the prebiotics in your diet, improving the probiotics, making sure you're making a journal, writing down what all prebiotics and probiotics you consumed during the day. If your gut health is really compromised and you feel that you really need an external help, then maybe taking a good pre and probiotic supplement might just help to revive and start afresh with your gut health, and then including everything in your diet might then just help. Again, intermittent fasting will really help because when you put gaps in between, there are certain bacteria which actually populates in your gut when you leave the gaps. When you don't eat, that is when the bacteria actually populates in your gut. So intermittent fasting will really help with that. And again, following the circadian rhythm and eating as per the sun cycle will really help, because bacteria also has its own sun cycle and circadian rhythm, and it likes to eat at a certain time and it likes to sleep at a certain time. So just using the circadian rhythm and feeding the bacteria at the right time will really help to improve your gut health. Again, needless to say, just remove all the refined foods, sugar, and all the junk and bad oil in your diet, and that will make sure that there is not bad bacteria which is populating in your gut and is causing all the problems that you are having. So keeping it very simple, starting with food, making those changes, keeping a journal of what you're eating, how you're feeling. Okay, I have eaten prebiotics and probiotics for a week. How do I feel? What have I ticked every single box, whether I have done that, and then see how emotionally you are feeling just by changing the kind of food. Just being aware of what you're eating and putting in your stomach, and thinking that bacteria is also a living organism, and you can't be feeding the junk that we've been feeding it for years. We need to feed it the food that it wants and then expect it to then populate inside our gut. So just thinking about it and being a little bit more mindful of what's going in your stomach, thinking about the bacteria, because it is a symbiotic relationship. They look after you, you look after them, and that's how you become healthy. So look after them, treat them as an organism which is living in your body and needs to be taken care of. Just like if you had a pet in your house, you wouldn't feed anything junk to them because you really want to look after them. Similarly, you need to think of your body as more bacteria than cells, and start looking after these bacteria to improve your gut health and to improve your PCOD symptoms. So this is what I had to talk about the gut health and how it is really important to treat your PCOD symptoms. If you have any questions, by all means put them down on my comment section and I'll be happy to answer these questions, and I will look forward to seeing you in my next video. Thank you.